Let's go through the debate, arguments, and deal-making process. What's it going to take to get a deal to avoid a government shutdown and everything else this time around?
Well, I think what's likely to happen is that we're going to get a short-term funding bill. So there's going to kick the can. So if you don't like Groundhog Day, you're going to get another Groundhog Day, perhaps closer to the time when we get the actual Groundhog Day. Listen, there's a debate here. It's not just the government funding. There's a lot of bills that, or legislation they would like to attach to that. Probably the biggest one and the newsiest one is this big permitting bill that Joe Manchin just came out with his bill. It was sort of the other half of the Inflation Reduction Act compromise, and some Republicans might like that, some don't. So there's some disagreement there. They have their own competing bill, and it's a pretty important piece of legislation if we want to get some of this clean energy stuff done in the future. We have that. We have Ukraine funding. We have COVID relief. So there's a lot of outstanding issues that aren't really technically part of government funding.
So in this scenario, I mean, I mentioned the midterm elections. It's on a lot of folks' mind right now because it's looming. It's going to be there. And of course, we have a very, I guess, partisan type scenario developing here with regard to how things shape up going into the next presidential cycle. In this kind of a situation, what are the optics on both sides for who can claim a victory and who takes the defeat if you're trying to get a deal done to avoid a government shutdown at a time when everyone's scrutinizing politics so much?
Right. I think there's one thing Democrats would really like to avoid is that when they control the House and they control the Senate and the presidency, not to have a government shutdown. They do not want that. Listen, they have a little bit of momentum here. We've been talking, for the past year. Republicans were a lock to take the House and Senate. Now, especially with falling gas prices, look, we just had 100 days of falling gas prices, which have helped Democrats. They have a little bit of momentum. You see it in the polls. You see it in betting markets, prediction markets. The last thing they want is something to disrupt that momentum, and a government shutdown showing that they can't keep their own house in order. That's the last thing they want right now.
Okay, so if this is the case, and we have this kind of, I guess, dynamic building, there's got to be a situation where you can say, hey, the economy is going to be front and center. The economy is going to be what it's going to all be about heading into midterms, and then even beyond as well. What do you think the message is from both parties, from the GOP, from Democrats, about whether or not they are the best people suited to guide the American economy in the coming months and years, given the turmoil that we've seen in many ways over the last several months?
I think the Republican message is what's been going on in the economy for the past year, right? So we've had much higher inflation. Gas prices have come down, but they're still higher. And now we have the Fed raising interest rates. We don't have a lot of housing supply coming on, but rates are going up. So you have this kind of paralysis in the housing market. None of it looks like a stable, good economy. Well, Democrats are going to say, hey, forget about what's happened over the past year. Let's look what's happened more recently. We've had this big drop in gas prices. People seem to be somewhat less concerned about a recession. You've seen if there's any part of sort of Biden's approval ratings which have gone up, it's been the economy. So they're saying, don't look what happened 9 months ago. Look what's happening right now. Republicans are saying, look at the big picture. So they both have economic arguments. And history would say that whatever people think about the economy right now is probably pretty close to being locked in.
So okay, Jimmy, and I want to kind of tie this into what's happening with the Fed, because the Fed is a big focus right now. Two mandates for the Fed. They control price stability, or they're supposed to, as well as employment. Those two things are very key to any economic story told to millions of Americans. Which is more important, preserving jobs or fighting inflation in your mind?
Well, for voters right now, inflation is obviously top of mind. Jobs are continuing. That looks pretty good. Inflation has been the story. I think fundamentally for the Federal Reserve, they do not want to have a repeat. Seared in their minds, it's still the 1970s. We don't want to have a repeat that and the volatility that caused. But right now, still, if you look at polls, inflation is number one. And if that's number one, They just have to go to the pump, gas prices down. So that the falling gas prices is a big factor, and that's a big plus. And we might be sort of here at a bit of a sweet spot where we have inflation coming down, jobs still look good, and any impact of these Fed rate hikes is lagging, and we might not see that really affect the job market significantly, much less a recession, until after the election.